For over 35 years, Todd Garner has overseen blockbuster films like Con Air, Anger Management, Triple X, 13 Going on 30, and the Mortal Kombat franchise.
Why are they letting you make these movies?
Join Todd as he shares tips and stories from the front lines of producing in Hollywood.
I'm Adam Sandler.
I'm Rebel Wilson.
This is Jeff Probst.
I'm Kaylee Cuoco.
I'm Eli Roth.
This is Marlon Wayans.
Hey, it's Ed Helms.
This is Shay Mitchell.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin James, and this is The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide with Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
What a combination.
Welcome to The Producer's Guide. I'm Todd Garner. Today we're diving into the extraordinary life and career of Diane Warren, a prolific American songwriter whose influence to the music industry is nothing short of legendary. Diane has crafted an incredible legacy, winning an honorary Academy Award, a Grammy, an Emmy, and 2 Golden Globes. From her breakout hit Rhythm of the Night with DeBarge in 1985 to pinning chart toppers for icons like Cher, Celine Dion, and Aerosmith, Diane has consistently redefined what it means to be a songwriter. With an astonishing 17 Academy Award nominations, more than any other individual without a win, her talent has earned her a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, an induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and has been hailed as the most important songwriter in the world by EMI's UK chairman. I had the privilege of producing a documentary about her life and consider Diane a dear, dear friend. Today, we talk about her process, which she hates talking about, her experience making the documentary, and why her song, Dear Me, is really the song she would love to win the Academy Award for. Enjoy. All right, I'm here with Diane Warren. Hello, Diane.
Hi, Todd.
It's nice to see you. Hey, so we have done this before. We have talked about your history and on my podcast, and you and I have been friends for a long time, and I did not think that was good enough. So we made a documentary about your life, which is now honored with a Academy Award for Best Song for Dear Me, your 17th Academy Award nomination. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's pretty awesome. I'm really excited.
I want to talk to you about this movie specifically, this documentary, which we then will hopefully get into a little bit of your past. I promise you I will not ask you about your process, because I know that is something that
I don't even know what I do. I just show up. That's why I always say I show up, I go to work.
Amazing. So let's go back to the beginning of a young Diane Warren living in the Valley. And what was it? What was the moment that made you so interested in music and songwriting specifically?
I mean, I remember like when I was little hearing I have older sisters. So like, one's 11 years older than me, one's 14 years older than me. They had records playing in the house. My mom and dad had show tunes playing in the house. I got like, I heard music. I heard the radio even when I was like born, And then I remember, seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, which I think was like a lightning moment for anybody alive watching that got into music. That should be studied sometime, because that just was like an earthquake of music, of people just, being like, I want to do this, hearing that. And I also I remember looking at a record that my sisters had. It was up on the roof, and it said Goff and King. And I remember looking, it was in parentheses, kids, when there were things called records. Actually, vinyl is coming back. So
yeah, it is.
But so I don't know if they have the parentheses anymore, but anyway, so I remember saying that and going, I want to be in those parentheses, and I want that to be me in there. I didn't want to be the singer. I mean, I'm not a very good singer, but I wanted to be the songwriter, and me and my friends, when we were like 11 and 12, we wanted to start a little band. I go, I'm going to write the songs. We didn't really start a band, but I knew I wanted to be a songwriter. So I just knew I wanted to do this. I listened to the radio all the time. That was my school. It's like I grew up at a time when it was, truly the golden age of pop songwriting, in my opinion. I mean, you had Motown, you had the Beatles, you had, the radio played everything then, and it was like a lot of all-time classics. So I got to, hear all that, and I listened. I was always listening. So like by osmosis, and that's probably why I'm able to write so many different kinds of songs and, so many different kinds of genres. I could be one day, with a rock band, and one day, with Leon Thomas, and one day with, Shania Twain or whatever, like I could be all of those, and one day like with Kesha, so,
right.
but I have that ability to to do that because I've listened.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I don't remember the exact first song, but I remember, some of them, but they weren't good. I thought they were great though. But see, you have to have that. You have to kind of believe,
Right.
And would take me to publishers and stuff, and they'd go, she has talent. And I'd be like, fuck you. You're going to be starring someday. I'm going to be a really big songwriter.
And when you sit down to write a song, because you've written so many songs for so many movies and so many artists.
Yeah.
And I know you hate talking about process, so we won't talk about your process necessarily, but
my process is I show up.
So you show up and you do the work every day. That is there's a big theme in our documentary is just you show up every day. Where do you draw your inspiration mostly from?
I have my antennas up. They're always
right.
up. Like there's always ideas everywhere. So if you're open to them, like I was just in the studio with this artist goes, it's like there's a cosmic pool and you get like a key to it, So that was an interesting, but yeah, I don't know. You stay open to ideas, and that's what I do. And yeah.
One of the best stories in the documentary is when you came up with the song for Armageddon, and it was inspired by an interview with Brolin and Streisand talking about their relationship. One of the others said they don't want to go to sleep because they'd miss them. And then you just from there said, oh, that's a good idea for a song.
Yeah,
does that happen to you quite often when you're just in the world? And then you have to go and write it down. I've seen you do it. You've left many, many times. You and I have been out. You've been like, I got to go write. So when inspiration hits, you go.
Or I write down titles. Like I had written down that title. I didn't write it right away. But when I saw Armageddon, I'm like, now it's the time to write. I don't want to miss a thing. And it was, the end of the world and, potentially the end of the world in the movie. I thought that I could write a great song. Never in a million years thinking Steven Tyler would do it. Thank you, Kathy Nelson, for that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to get Steven. I go, he's not going to do my song. They've never done an outside song except, Come Together. That's a Beatles song. That doesn't count, but he's not going to do my song. And next thing I know, I was sitting and teaching it to him at the, at the Sunset Marquis Hotel, sitting at the piano with him singing it and right next to me. It was like, wow.
And when you write songs, do you have a voice in your head or is it always your voice? How does that work when the song is coming to you?
It depends. Sometimes I hear somebody sing it. I'm just trying to write a great song, and as I'm writing it, I think, who it could be for, But like, we'll say "Dear Me," it wasn't. I didn't write it for Kesha, but Kesha was the only artist I really wanted for it.
When you were going through the process of writing, and you're grinding it out, and you're going through all of the process of getting it all out.
Yeah.
What comes first generally, the melody or the words or both at the same time? How does that process work?
Both at the same time. Usually I have a concept and, I don't know, but I don't ever write lyrics first. So usually it's, I have the have a great hook and then I have to figure out, it's like it's like having a house in the middle of the forest and not knowing how to get there or get back, so I have to kind of build my way to that, that chorus, that hook is like the house in the forest. I have to get there. I have to find a way, a really twisty way or a cool way. And just, I don't even know if that makes sense to anybody, if it does to me, but, but I just try to make it as great as I can, and certain songs, like Dear Me was written in kind of a weird way because I wrote the beginning of it and the end of it before I wrote the rest of it. Like if I could write a note to my younger self, here's what I'd say, everything. And then I wrote the part where it goes that, dear me, I'm right. That really high part. I heard a lot of dear me's because I thought the song was, even though it was a super personal song, I thought that there's going to be a lot of people that really relate to the song. I kind of almost in my mind wanted them all to be singing along there to all their me's. And it turned out an interesting thing because so many people are reaching out to me about this song.
Right.
People that are unlikely, all ages, kinds of people.
Well, this is a song that you wrote for a documentary about yourself. So ostensibly, you're writing about yourself. But I would imagine all the songs you've written really are parts of you, and you've written them for yourself.
I mean, I don't write songs about myself. So it's not an interesting subject matter. This, some songs I'm in there, somewhere, especially the "fuck you" songs or those kind of songs. Or, but this one was even if I'm writing something like this for myself, I'm not just writing it for me. I want to make it as universal as possible. Again, that's why I had that ending, because I realized I'm right, because I wanted to write a song to that kid that was bullied and like didn't have an easy life, and kids wanted to beat me up after school and shit and all that, and just I wasn't a cool. I was the weird kid, and now I'm really proud of being weird, because it's just weird just means you stand out, and you stand out because you're different or you're unique, and that's a great thing, not a bad thing. But
Right.
when you're a kid, you don't know that, and I had a tough time, like with, I didn't feel understood by, even my parents, my dad, once I got in music, but my mom, it was just, my parents found pot in my room and, took me to juvenile hall, like they didn't know what to do. I don't blame them. They just didn't know what to do. But, it was just like weird being a kid and feeling alone in the world, and like the world's against you. What are you going to do? And then I wanted to write a song to her that,
Mhm.
I mean, like, look, even this week, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, they didn't even want me to go to my high school, to Birmingham. I went to Birmingham. I was kicked out of 2 junior highs when I went to high school. They didn't even want me at the graduation. They just sent me the diploma, And I'm thinking, like, it was an Oscar nominees lunch, on Tuesday, and they have that big class photo. I'm going like, yeah, fuck off. Like, I'm in the coolest, you guys didn't want me, now I'm on basically the coolest class photo in the world. That felt good.
So those early days of being misunderstood, being the outsider, being weird, as you say,
I still feel like I'm the outsider to this day.
is that those early feelings what motivated you to be so relentless? Where did your drive come from?
I don't know, but I have it more than ever now. I mean, it's just something that is part of me. I don't know. I always think of, like, maybe it's an immigrant gene from, when my family, came from Russia. You got to make something of yourself. I don't know. Who knows, I have it, and I've always had it. I've always known that I'm the one who has to do it, who has to represent my music, and I'm just super ambitious with my songs. I'm the same as I was when I was, 14 in my room. I just want people to hear my songs. So I just want people to hear my songs. Same thing, At least now people want to hear them, which is good.
Well, let's talk about the documentary now, because the song is "Dear Me." It's nominated this year, and it's an amazing song. What made you decide to do the documentary now, or to
You did too.
allow? Well, okay. What made you decide to allow the documentary to be made now?
I thought it was the time, the right time. Other people had talked to me before about doing it, and for whatever reason, it didn't get done. They did financing or whatever. But it's like, I know you called Risa, and I think you'd just seen a documentary. You said, I think it was David Foster. You go, let's do one on Diane, And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then next thing you know, and it was getting done. And yeah, I mean, it just, I wasn't the easiest subject, because I would sometimes leave the room and not come back. I think the cameraman quit or something. But so it was like, I'll be right back. I'd be like working on a song or something. But it was, and it was a really interesting experience. And I think Bess did a great job, honestly.
The director, yes.
We need to do a director's cut. Can we do that? Because there's so many things that that aren't in there. Can we do that?
Sure, we should talk to Masterclass about it. You can watch it on Masterclass and lots of other different formats.
It's everywhere. No, you don't watch just on Masterclass. It's on Amazon.
It's everywhere, and it's fantastic. So let me tell you from my perspective as one of the producers of the documentary, that you are a difficult subject. You are notoriously prickly, and you say it many times in interviews that you'd rather be writing than doing anything else. You want to be and like this interview right now is taking you away from writing, and it's making you
fine.
making you uncomfortable. And I've known you for so long, I knew that I could keep you on between Risa and I, we could keep you on the tracks. And you're right. On 4th of July, I was watching a documentary, and it was on David Foster, and very well done. And he was talking about different songwriters, and I thought of you, and God, man, why hasn't there been a documentary about Diane Warren? Well, it's because it's hard to get you to commit to doing it. So why it was important for me to see it is, I think having grown up in the Valley, I think being weird is a superpower. I think you're incredible.
Yes.
I think you're a super talent. Obviously, you're one of the only writers, female or male, that owns all their own rights and masters. And so I love you, and I wanted to make sure the world gets to see you as well, how I see you. So let's talk about like that process of exposing your life. I'll never have to do it. So what was it like to dig into, was it first of all what you expected, and what was it like to dig into the past and really dig into, because Dear Me is a very personal song and you expose a lot of really personal things about yourself. Walk me through that. How did that feel? Was it what you expected? And if not, in what ways did it differ from what you expected?
Yeah, it wasn't so bad doing this documentary. It was, I didn't mind one of my least favorite things is talking about myself and especially the past. But so I'm always like about, okay, what's next? What's that? Like my rearview mirror, I hardly ever look at it. And it's crap anyways. I can't see shit out of it. But I'm always like looking ahead. But, it's the whole thing was interesting. What's really interesting is because I forget everything I do. And when I watch it, I go, oh my God, I did that and I did that. Like even I'm kind of impressed and,
Yeah.
so, but what's cool is like that, I guess what's really also good about this doc is it connects all the dots. So a lot of people are seeing this thing and thinking the same thing. And like, I didn't mind, doing it. I thought it was, at first I wasn't sure about Bess. But she was really the right director because she's like a weirdo too, So, it needed to be somebody like that.
Well, most artists are, thank God.
Everywhere I go, people have seen this documentary now. I think it helped that it was on the Academy site really early, when there were hardly any movies. But I think then after the holidays, like everywhere I go, like people really, they love it and they really love the song.
So when you were going through the making of it, and you hate to look in the rearview mirror, and we're forcing you to really deal with the past and deal with painful things about your family and your past, do you feel that the process of making this helped, healed, didn't do much, made it worse? How did you come out?
It didn't make it worse. It didn't make it better. It was just, I just spoke about it. But, I just thought it was cool. Like it turned out, it didn't, sometimes having to sit there for long periods of time wasn't easy for me, but I'm glad I did. In hindsight, even if I was annoyed with stuff or people were annoyed with me, more likely, it turned out really good.
And when you're writing your songs and you're going back and looking at all the songs you wrote, and it is insanely impressive, did it give you perspective of your history, of kind of where you were at each stage as you wrote and where you were emotionally?
No, not at all. I didn't think about it. I know. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, I did that. Okay, cool. That's like really cool. But okay. And
what is your favorite thing to write about? Do you have a favorite thing? Is it movies? Is it emotion? Is there a genre you love?
I mean, I love pop songs. I love writing. Of course, I love writing a big ballad, but I love writing I love writing, stuff, Afrobeat stuff I'm doing. I love some of the dance stuff I'm doing. I love writing great songs. And if you write a great song, you could translate it in different ways. I love R&B. I've always been in R&B music.
My favorite part of the movie making process is sitting in the theater in the preview and seeing the audience react. How do you get that feedback as an artist? Because your songs go out there and they play on the radio. Like when do you get to experience that feeling? Is it in the studio? Where is it?
Yeah, it's in the studio. I could be playing something for an artist, or I could hear something, walking, going somewhere and people going like, especially like with Dear Me, thank you for Dear Me. That song is really, really important to me. Like I'm getting a lot of that with this song, so you feel like you realize that songs just get out there in different ways into people's lives. Some of these songs, and you don't even have to know what the power is of music, of what a great song is. Something I'm sitting alone in my room writing somehow reaches someone's heart and soul.
Right.
And maybe it feel better. Maybe it makes them, think. Maybe it makes them feel less alone.
Is there a specific song where you got that feedback the most?
There's a lot of them. I mean, I did when I wrote Till It Happens to You. the Gaga song, which I wrote. She sang the shit out of it. But the feedback on that song was super powerful in that moment too, culturally. And it just seeing what a song could do like that, or The Journey last year, that was a powerful song too. Just all the this song. I don't know. It's hard to. There's lots of songs for different reasons that touch people because you love me back.
And man, that performance at the Academy Awards of you and Gaga of that song, So It Happens to You, was incredible. Those moments where you've written that and it's just this powerful performance in the moment has got to just be
one of the best things I've ever seen. Gaga with those survivors of sexual assault, but that performance, I was hoping this year, I guess they're not having all the performances, which is a bummer, but like Kesha, I think that would have been like that.
Yeah. It's just so incredible that you wrote this song for this documentary. Gaga performed it. It's obviously very personal to the two of you from your past histories. And to see it performed in that way, it's just got to be so life affirming because you really are changing hearts and minds with your emotional journey and your stories. Has there been a song that surprised you that you thought, I know you, Diane Warren, know every one of your songs is going to be the biggest song and best song ever, but genuinely, has there been a song that surprised you of how much impact it had?
Any of them surprised me because so many things can go wrong and fuck up, So anytime something gets through and, they don't all have to be the biggest hits. Some of my best songs and most impactful songs aren't my biggest hits, but you just want the songs to get heard and more than even be heard, be felt.
What song do you think of all your songs, if you had to pick one, is your biggest hit?
Boy, I don't know. Only Love Can Hurt like this with like 3 billion streams or whatever,
Yeah.
The whole TikTok thing, this might be maybe my biggest hit. How Do I Live? So like it was a double A side back when there were singles kids. I think it was on both A and B side. It was like 12 million selling singles. So that's almost 25 million just sales. And then all the airplay, and then there were 2 versions. And as you remember that crazy story with Trish and Leanne. But it all worked out. Yeah, that's probably between those 2 songs. I don't know. But I have a lot of songs and they have these interesting lives that, they end up, being licensed for other things. And, so it's really cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, when we did Con Air and then Armageddon, very unlikely that 2 huge ballads would come out of 2 of the most masculine action movies I've ever made.
You know what? That's the point. And that's where Jerry fucked up this year. You should have me do F1 because I would because the thing is I always say they're girl songs for boy movies. Because you get they're the heart.
Right.
If you have and all that, but if you have something beautiful, in there that has heart that hits you in the gut and heart with that kind of movie, you win.
Well, walk me through real quick, watching Con Air and where did you focus on and where did you go, oh, that's the heart of the movie when you were watching it? Do you remember? Or Armageddon, by the way, either one.
We'll say like Con Air, I wrote the song for it, and there were probably 200 songs, in the mix. My song wasn't chosen, by the way. You know the story of that?
No one
picked that. Jerry didn't pick that song. No one, what happened was I played it I came to Jerry's, I played it for him and he loved it. But, no one committed anything. But my publicist at the time was also Leanne Rimes' publicist. So I'd met her and she was only 14 years old. She was a kid. And I ran into her at a restaurant and I said, look, I wrote the song for Con Air. It wasn't really, officially the song for Con Air, but, that's me. And I said, come over and demo it. So what happened was she came to my studio and demoed the song. And then she went back to Texas and they did, they put strings on it. They did a video and all this. And, the song wasn't, again, the song wasn't chosen yet. But Jerry, I remember, I'm sure you were in the mix at that time. you guys were probably excited because she had just won Best New Artist at Billboard. I mean, at the Grammys. And so she was like the hot thing, you know? And so, but Jerry wanted changes in the record. He wanted it to be, I think, less country, you know, 'cause she was country. Then he gets Trisha Yearwood, but that makes no sense. But that, okay. But so, but they're both great artists. But anyway, so Leanne does it. Anyways, so Jerry wanted some changes, and I told that to Leanne's dad, Wilbur, and Wilbur goes, "I ain't changing nothing for them Hollywood people." I go, it's just for the scene. You know, you still have your record. He wouldn't do it. And then Jerry goes, you know, would you mind if we get Trisha Yearwood? And I go, yeah, but I can't pull the Leanne Rimes record. They spent all this money. And plus Leanne was like, you know, she was like the hot new artist. Look, and then Jerry goes, you have to pull it. Like another, you know, a couple of weeks later, I go, I can't do it. And he goes, you're never going to work for me again. You'll never work for Disney. This is the end. And you know, next year we did Armageddon, but whatever. Anyway. And so like, everybody hated me. There was and I'm the one who talked Mike Curb because Leanne was signed to Mike Curb because they go, we're not going to put out. I go, no, don't let them win. You put out your version, you know? And then, so like I was behind the scenes doing all that and I talked them into putting their version out and they both came out at the same time.
Yep.
And they were in the same key, so it was all these really cool mashups. And then, but the interesting thing, like everybody hated me. Everybody was mad at me. Jerry hated me. You probably hated me. Kathy Nelson hated me. Leanne hated me. Trisha hated me. And then everybody started liking me because the song became a fucking hit. And it became a hit both versions, you know, in different, like Leanne. I mean, Leanne still one of the biggest female, you know, in the top 5 of all time female records. Sure. And, you know, Trisha had a monster hit. And I think Leanne sang it on the Grammys and Trisha ended up winning the Grammy.
Yeah,
it was like something
both nominated, yeah.
That's probably why it's one of my biggest songs because they booked 2 versions. But, you know.
But it's also really surprising. So do you remember the moment in the movie that gave you the inspiration?
And I wanted a song, just a really emotional song because that emotional moment.
Yeah, with his daughter and his wife and getting back to her and
Yeah, it had to be emotional. It's interesting that it was a female vocalist saying what he felt.
It's funny that a song about escaped convicts is probably one of the biggest wedding songs of all time.
Yeah, I know.
So after Armageddon, we had you write a lot of songs for Coyote Ugly. What had you done that before? And what was that like? How would that process differ for you?
Coyote Ugly was the first time I'd written multiple songs for a movie, and that soundtrack was like 17 million. You know,
it was
records.
In the top 10 forever. It was crazy.
It's like a classic. It's a classic movie. Now we're doing the musical. We're doing the musical of Coyote.
Finally, excellent.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm also. You should push this because there should be Coyote Ugly too. Because the kids, the teenage girls that were 14 now, they're the perfect age to do this. Like, I'd want to know what's Violet doing now. She probably has a daughter that wants to be in music. That's, you know, I mean, I don't know. I still think it's. I've been saying that for 20 years too, or 25 years. For like you know, it's a Broadway musical. You get they're hot girls, so you get the guys, and it's female empowerment, so you get the girls. So it's like, duh.
Where are you in the process of the musical Coyote Ugly?
Just starting.
Great. Oh, that's so great. So when you were writing for the movie, were you working with the writer and working with the director? I don't remember the process because I wasn't that intimately involved with your side of it. How did that work out when you were reading the script and we were starting the process of making the movie?
Well, I came in kind of later, and I there were songs that I wrote that I thought fit, and then there was a song I remember at the end, and I remember going to see it and going, I don't think that really works, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to, you know, it was a song of mine, and then it didn't work. Do you remember this? That they had to reshoot that whole end scene, and they had to put it together in movie theaters. Like, it was crazy. When they shot that last scene with Leanne Rimes on the jumping on the bar and all that was new. And that was, I just went in and wrote Can't Fight the Moonlight really fast to replace my other song. I'm trying to remember what it was, but yeah.
And it's such an incredible moment because Leanne actually was the voice of Piper Perabo in the movie. So you actually have Leanne doing a duet with herself as herself.
And doing all the songs, and, you know, props to Kathy Nelson, who I worked on all those movies too, you know.
Yes, incredible.
She was great. She made that happen with Leanne. She got Aerosmith, you know.
And you mentioned TikTok before, so let's talk about that for a second. How it's got to be, I mean, of all the multitude of songs you've written for every artist, it must be incredible. TikTok has just brought back all of those songs.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
how is that? And new generations are now being exposed to all of your older pop records. How has that resurgence affected you in terms of your audience and in terms of the feedback you're getting?
It's cool because the thing is, like with Spotify too, where you could just like kids are just like checking everything out. Now you can just like I have artists coming in, young artists that they're going, give me something like you did, in the 90s. I'm like, you weren't even alive. What are you fucking talking about? But it's like, but they're into it. Like that kind of 80s, 90s thing is like, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, this pretty big band, last week, I'm not going to say who yet, but they're awesome. He's going like, give me like stuff, like that, some stuff like, Michael Bolton era. I'm like, wow, really?
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I was there. But it's interesting because it just seems like it's kind of going back to, I think it's going back to songs. And I think it's more authentic stuff with AI that you can't get from AI.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the what's happening in the entire business is there's this feeling of AI just sort of mashing stuff up, but it doesn't feel authentic. And it certainly doesn't come from the brain and the heart of Diane Warren. So you mentioned artists coming to you, but one of the things you're most famous for is chasing artists down and saying, you have to record my song. This is the best song ever.
Yeah.
We have many, many artists in the documentary talking about you hunting them
But
down.
I'm right. I'm
You're
right.
always,
Aren't I?
you're no question. You're always right.
They think I'm a pain. Yes. And then they think I always say like, she's a pain. You go from pain in the ass, annoying to I love your passion.
When on the timeline of you writing because the thing you do is you write the songs, you put them on, you record them with your voice, with a keyboard or a guitar or both.
Or I don't always sing my own demos. I try to get somebody better than me.
But you get your demo, and then when does it click? What artists? And then walk me through your determination, how you go about getting your artists.
It just depends. Like I could be meeting with somebody, but I have a sixth sense of knowing what the right song is for somebody.
When you were writing Dear Me, this is a song to your younger self. It's in the lyrics. When did it click that Kesha was the right person and why?
Right away. The reason why, when I do a song for a movie, the artist has to be authentic to the movie. So in a sense, I'm a casting director. So I can't have an incongruous artist to that movie, right? They have to be like almost like another character. And of course, they have to be able to sing the song. That goes without saying, right? But they have to feel, like they belong, like they're part of that movie. And then the interesting thing was, well, I'm writing a song for me. Like who's that for me, right? Who's kind of someone with a fucked up life. And I'm like, well, Kesha. And I've known Kesha a long time. And I know, she's had a hard life, as people know, but she didn't have an easy time of it, growing up too. And Kesha's a fucking great singer. It's like how when I gave Gaga Till It Happens to You, I thought Kesha's that, that's like her on that song is going to be like Gaga Until It Happens to You. I just know it. And I know she's going to connect with it because it's going to resonate with her because I just knew it. And then she came to the studio and I played it for her and she just lost it. She just started crying. And I knew, so there wasn't, she was the only artist I wanted. I didn't want anybody else. When I say authentic, I could have cut class and smoked weed, with down the street with Kesha. I could have we could have been, getting kicked out of schools together and gone to juvenile hall together, and all the other fucked up shit that I did. Kesha would have been, if we were the same age in school, she would have been my fellow weirdo buddy that got in trouble with me.
What is your relationship to music in your daily life? Do you listen to music constantly of every kind of genre? Do you go to live shows? What is your go-to musical, the way you consume music on a daily basis?
Let me see. I don't go to live shows. I don't really like being around a lot of people. So, unless I have to or something, it's an artist I'm working with or something. But, I listen to music more like, because I want to see what's going on, so I want to see who, especially if there's someone I'm working with, I want to hear what they do and get into that. And I do like to be aware of what, what's going on, what's success or what, not chasing trends, but just to hear what artists, and that way I hear someone I might want to work with, and, I might DM them on Instagram, and I do that. But, all day I'm just kind of making my own music, and I'm just working on my own stuff. And then I go home, I'm not really listening to music because I've been doing that all day. So yeah. So I listen, but it's hard for me just to listen as a listener. So I'm always analyzing stuff, always, oh, what did they do there? Why didn't they go to that chord? So it's, oh, why did they go to that chord?
And then, and you don't follow normal rules, in quotes, of songwriting and the way music is laid out. So you're not classically trained. So you don't follow normal rules and chord changes and things like that. You just go by your instinct.
Yeah, I just go by what feels right.
And so much has happened in music over the last 10 years, and you have these monster tours and monster acts, that are really, really kind of dominating. And now with K-pop, and there's so many different trends happening. Where do you see the music business headed? Where do you see it headed, and what are you excited about?
I don't know. I think I had a big K-pop song last year with an artist named G-Dragon, who's like the kind of Michael Jackson of that world. Anyways, where I see it heading, like I don't know. I feel like it's going to be more authentic. I mean, some of these artists coming in are going, yeah, rock is coming back. I think it is. I think rap for a while was the dominant, kind of thing. I think that's kind of, fading a bit. I think rock's going to come back. I think, soul. I mean, I just think real artists are going to come back.
And do you think instrumentation's going to come back, and bands as opposed to the electronic
thing?
Like,
I do. It's like a reaction, against AI and all that. I definitely think that's coming back.
And it also feels like there's so much, I don't want to say mashups is probably not the right word, but pop and country and rock and R&B really sort of all intermingles. And you have artists playing in all these different genres.
Yeah, I love it. And I was doing that before, like, I was like doing like, I was giving, R&B artists country songs and stuff. Actually, but that's nothing new. I mean, Ray Charles was doing that in the, 60s and stuff. But, I love it because there's no such thing as genre, really. That's what I love. Right. I love throwing things in that you unexpected. I do that all the time with artists and songs. Like, just throw an artist you never expect on a song, or put a different kind of vibe under it, fuck it up.
And when you're writing a song, when does the genre start to kick in for you? When do you start to feel, oh, this feels like an R&B song or more pop? Is it in the lyric stage? Or
I mean, it just depends what I'm writing. I could be writing something that's a little more R&B, a little more soul. It just feels like that's where it lives.
How did the K-pop song come about? Did they come to you, or did you say, this feels like a K-pop song, go to the artist?
No, I mean, wasn't a typical K-pop song either. My friend Mickey Lee, she's a producer. Her family owns Samsung. I love her. She's a really different. And she has parties at her house sometimes, and she said, you need to work with G-Dragon. And so he came to my studio. I played him a few songs, and the most unlikely one, that I go, I'm just going to play this. And that's the one he did, and it became this massive hit for him, like his comeback song last year. It's called Drama. I had a different title, but yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I'm like in different worlds. Okay,
so when you go to a party, you have your phone and you have all your songs downloaded on your phone. How does that come about? Do you know kind of instinctively, oh, I'm getting a sense of you, listen to this one? How do those songs live that you can share with artists?
I'll have meetings at my office, at my studio. That's the best way to do it because I have everything there. Yesterday I went to another artist's studio, and I knew what I was going to play him, and I knew it was right, and he loved it. And then another artist he's working with was there, and I'm like, okay, you're here. This song's really right for you. And I like both artists are doing the songs, which is really fun. I love it. And they're both, I'm not going to say who they are, but they're both huge artists. So
that's great. So you've been nominated for 17 Academy Awards, and you have an Academy Award. You're the only songwriter that's been given the Lifetime Honorary Academy Award. Why is it so important for you to win an Academy Award?
Well, okay, so the honorary Oscar is a huge deal. That's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Like you said, They've never given that. That's harder to get that than a real Oscar, than a
For sure.
competitive Oscar, not a real. Both real, but you have to get all those governors and every branch, I guess, to agree to that. And what I heard was mine went through the fastest ever, which is like, wow, that's pretty cool. But they've never, they've never given that to a songwriter. I was and am beyond honored at that. That was the probably best night of my life when Cher gave that to me, and being in that room with all those people and basically saying, can you thank the Academy? So yes, I have an Oscar and it means a lot to me, but of course I still want to, I'm not going to lie. Like this year I'm going, I fucking want to win. I do. I want to win with this song, up against the Netflixes and Warner Brothers, like these giant corporations. And then I have the little documentary from the songwriter from the Valley that, no one saw coming, no one, thought I'd get here, but I did. I knew I'd get here, but not even me, I didn't know I'd get here on this level. But so here's this documentary, and here's a song, a really beautiful song, it's up against these songs from these huge movies. But everywhere I'm going though, Todd, people are aware of this movie. I go to a lot of screenings. I'm running like, we just saw the documentary. We love your song. And I don't know, my name's in the title. Whoever put my name in the title, thank you, because our names aren't on there. None of the crafts people, which they should. I think they're changing that. I heard they were changing that this year, but I'm not sure. But all our names should be on there, whether it's hairstyling, whether it's cinematography, our names should be there with our work,
Mm-hmm.
But this year, I don't know if they are, but my name's in the title. So if anybody, some people that might go, oh, wow. All right. Diane's on her 17th and it's a pretty good documentary, pretty good song. And, how sweet would it be? And, especially this one, the one about my life and, it would be cool. So I'm not going to lie, yes, I got nominated. Yes, I stayed up all night and hearing my songs. I knew it was alphabetical order. So I knew if I didn't hear it first, it wasn't in there, and hearing it and just jumping for joy and crying because it never gets old. And it's the best feeling in the world because the people, it's respect from the people I respect. They only choose 5 songs. These are the best people. I always say this, but I don't mean it as a cliche. They're the best in what they do on the planet in film music. So if they pick me, I've won, out of 100 and something songs, whatever, the 5, you chose me. This is my 9th year in a row. So getting this level of respect is just pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But would this be like, of all of them to win? Yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, I would love that for you because you're very, very, very important to me. So
Same with you, Todd.
I told you many, many times, mostly when you were trying to quit the documentary, that this is another piece of your legacy so that people can see.
It wasn't quit. It wasn't quit the documentary. At first I thought Bess was really wrong and stuff, but I think it was because she had the mask on and wasn't laughing at my jokes. It's like she doesn't think I'm funny.
Every time you got frustrated, every time it was hard for you, I kept saying to you, this is part of your legacy.
You wanted to quit.
Well, that's different, but this is part of your legacy to make sure that people saw you, and despite you hating people to talk about your process, who you are and where you come from and how interesting you are as a person and as an artist. But what do you want for your legacy?
I'm not thinking about my legacy. I'm just thinking about what's next. How about that? My nextasy.
Your ecstasy. So, but if I said to people, how do you want to be remembered the most?
I don't know. I hate when people ask stuff like that because
good. After you're dead, this is good. This is like this whole documentary was making you uncomfortable. So this is my joy is asking you uncomfortable questions.
Yeah, thanks. No, I don't know. I want people to think I'm really good at what I do. That I was good at what I do, great at what I do. Because who wants to be good?
You are great, and I will say, for me, having known you for many, many, many years, and now being a producer on this documentary, I think
this all happened because of you.
Thank you, love.
No, but it's the truth.
That's okay. That's my job. I'm a producer. And my job is to be the first one in and make it happen. So, but I feel your legacy is going to be that you have moved millions and millions and millions of people through so many stages of their life, from birth to every high when people are feeling low, through weddings, through love, through all the way through. I feel you have helped people in every moment, death in every moment of their life. And that's your legacy, is you really have been there through your songs for every phase of people's life. And that is something that not that many people can say. So thank you for that.
Love that.
I know you've been a big part of my emotional life and my emotional journey, and your songs have moved me throughout my life. So I really appreciate you and love you. So thank you for that. And I think that's your legacy.
I love it. I'll take it.
So I always end with the same. Well, I want to end with two questions. The first question is, for that little weirdo that lives in the valley that nobody believes in, that's writing songs in her shed, and her mom doesn't even think she can do it, and her dad gives her a guitar and says, "Good luck, kid." What advice, you wrote a song called Dear Me. What advice do you have for that person, or anybody that's listening to this, that's in that situation, that maybe is having a crisis of confidence or doesn't believe that they can actually make it because it's just daunting to be an artist in this world right now? What's your advice for that person?
Don't give up. Work your ass off. Put on blinders. Let all the obstacles inspire you. Like, that's what with me, like every time someone puts a roadblock, I'm like, fuck you, I'll kick it down. I was built that way. So I'm like, I would say just, work really hard. Don't listen to anybody. Listen to your own heart, and you'll get there. Dear you.
Amazing. Last question. Best memory of making this documentary?
Oh God, that's a really good question. Okay, seeing Kesha respond to Dear Me, and then watching her sing it in the studio, and sit and crying, that was the best moment for me.
Amazing.
I have to say.
All right, Diane, good luck. I hope you win
Thanks,
this
Todd.
one, because this is personal for all of us, and good luck.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in for this episode of The Producer's Guide. If you're a fan of this podcast, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. And if you got any questions about producing, send me a DM on X at Todd_Garner. I want to thank my producer, Steve Delamater. And until next week, I'm Todd Garner. See you then.